Welcome back to Retro Tech. I'm Steve, and today we are again looking at this CRT right here. This is the Samsung 20-inch consumer CRT that was fully restored and then had RGB added to it. Now, unfortunately, there were some issues that came up as it kept running, and I figured it would be time for a full cap kit. But while it was running, it had an issue show up where we had a collapse. And what we mean by screen collapse is the picture just stopped showing and all you get is a solid white line across the screen. And basically what happened is the vertical IC went bad. That's the only thing that really would cause it, unless it was something like a short or a bad solder joint. So I went and tried to reapply solder everywhere, no cold solder joints, tested it again. So rather than put it back together and show that to you, unfortunately, you just have to know that that's what it is when you see just one white line across the screen and nothing else. You can hear the tube come on, just a white solid line. So to do this, we'll obviously need to take the TV apart, and it's already taken apart. So let's go ahead now, though, and look at the chassis. So here's our deflection board, and I went through earlier and marked the capacitors that were being changed or are going to be changed with a black mark. What I do to make my cap kits is I'll go through here and look at all these larger capacitors. Most of the time you don't have to worry about these tiny ones, but I'll go through and document every large capacitor and mark it with a black Sharpie mark. And then from there I can make my cap kit and go and order that from my part supplier. The other part that needs to be changed is this one right here. Let's take a closer look. So here's this IC right here, and this is the one that needs to be changed. It controls our vertical screen power or vertical hold on there, and unfortunately there's not a real way to test it. You have to order the part and then change it and see if it works. Let's take a quick look at today's tools we'll need for the job. First, the smaller tools. I use pliers to pull any hard-to-reach capacitors after I desolder them. For new soldering, I will use this no clean flux, and I do have a couple of different sizes of rosin cord solder here. And then these are micro flush cutters. I've got a new set here that I haven't opened yet, but I just wanted to show, actually nowadays Walmart sells this and this solder, so a lot of these things are just available right off the shelf. This is the first tool I want to highlight. It's my soldering iron, and just so you can see the model here, FX888D, and this is a Hakko. And I've used this for about 3 years. It works very well. It has a nice temperature control. Today I'll be using this at 775. That's the setting I use to solder things back together. It's just slightly over the normal setting of 750 for heat. Here's the tip. Tips can be changed on here, but most of the time I use the chisel style tip. Let's go through the last tool here. This is the Hakko FR301, and it is a desoldering tool, and it is a great tool. Now, it is the most expensive tool for this job at about $250, but it's got a vacuum here and a nice hot tip, and it very easily will suck the solder out of any component and make a quick job out of any kind of replacement for soldered components. So here's the parts for the job they've come in. This is a 2-pack of our chip here. So if something happens to one, we've got a backup. These are $5 a piece delivered. And then this is the capacitor nailer, and it should just be loaded with individual capacitors. When you order capacitors individually, this is how they come packed to you in a nice bag, and they'll be individually marked. You can see some in there. Let's get in here and first remove some capacitors. Let's go ahead and get in here and remove this capacitor. just pull it. Go ahead and stick this replacement one in there. Make sure you line up the negative and positives with the right sides. And then put some solder on it. Here's my spot. Let's put some flux on there. Wiggle it around a little bit. And after you get one set, it's easier to come in and set the second. You gotta put some more on that one. Get in here and remove this one. And that'll go in with the replacement. Let's add a little no clean flux again. The last one we're changing here. Now that our capacitors have been changed, this is the last thing we need to remove, this chip that's attached to this metal plate here. And I'm not going to remove that screw yet. The first thing I'm going to do is flip it over and suck the solder from the socket down there. Okay, time to take out this IC. Here's my chip. Let's try to get it out of there. Pulled right out. I'm going to try to slip this in here. Maybe I'll get lucky and it'll go right in easily. I gotta make sure every one of those pins is lined up though. There we go. Alright, let's go ahead and get some flux up there. Get this chip soldered back in.
First pin again. All right, now that everything's complete, it's just got to be reassembled, and then we got to see if it'll work.
Okay everyone, it's been reassembled, and I want to show you what it looks like when I turn it on. Because, unfortunately, we still got the problem. So I wanted to show you what it looked like. See, we still got the line collapse. We just got one bright light across the bottom of the middle of the screen. So I changed that IC that controls the vertical screen twice. So that leads to tell me that it's probably not that chip. I did go back and, of course, change all the capacitors, and I knew that wasn't going to help it. So my last thing is it's probably the jungle chip might have gotten damaged by voltage or something, or a different chip. The thing I'm going to do now is I'm going to go back to the service manual, study some more, look at what might have gotten damaged on that vertical line that would cause this. So, well, thanks again for watching Retro Tech. Look for a future episode again on this TV, and we'll see if we can get it fixed. But for today, it's going to have to wait for more parts to come in. Thanks again. Have a great day.